Landing in Tehran, the first flight for the UN High Commission for Refugees. Thousands of blankets, cooking supplies, sleeping mats and tents to help flood victims. The UNHCR works in Iran primarily with refugee communities. Aid workers say at times like this, helping with flood relief is the right thing to do. But it was not easy. U.S. sanctions meant weeks of extra bureaucracy.
Although it's a few weeks ago now that the most heavy floods happened, you can still see the very severe impact. For example, behind me it's a river, but there's also still a lot of stagnant water on the sides. We've seen already communities, especially communities closer to rivers, where water is still standing in houses or at least mud. It's clear that there will be still work to do in the short term, but that especially the recovery phase is going to be important.
The World Health Organization and UNICEF are also helping out. So are Germany, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Pakistan, Russia, and Turkey. But sanctions seem to be impeding a coordinated crisis response. For now, the government and local communities are doing most of the heavy lifting. Soldiers and volunteers clearing rubble, diverting water, building dikes, and distributing supplies. But large areas in western Iran remain underwater.
We've been alerted to evacuate and take our things, but people don't know where they can go in these conditions.
The floods are the worst to hit Iran since the 1940s, killing dozens, injuring hundreds, and displacing 500,000 people. Millions more need some sort of help. The government has set up temporary shelters and is promising compensation. But entire farms have been washed away, and the repair bill is estimated at $1 billion. It's a hefty cost, as American oil and banking sanctions target Iran's economy. In the capital Tehran, volunteers collect donations bound for the flood zone. Everything that comes through these doors is donated by private citizens, and so far, volunteers who've been at it for about 3 weeks have collected and dispatched 30 truckloads of supplies worth tens of thousands of dollars to flood-hit areas all over the country. Communities hit hardest get first priority, and volunteers say American sanctions are making their job much more difficult.
Right now, we need some boats and machinery to control the water flow. It would be much easier for international agencies to provide them. Due to the sanctions, prices are much higher. If it wasn't for the sanctions, we could do much more with the money we've collected.
The extreme weather came as a shock to Iranians who've suffered decades of dry weather. With more bad weather forecast, volunteers are preparing for things to get worse. Zein, Basravi, Al Jazeera, Tehran.